On, dude.
They're
And we're
waiting.
officially live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, welcome. As you guys, if you don't already know, Tuesday is the day that Alex and I discuss everything going on in the Pokemon market. And for today's topic, we're going to be having a conversation about a follow-up, which was Pokemon Center. Does it really matter if something goes out of stock or not? Because the main topic last week was Astral Radiance going out of stock on the Pokemon Center. And if you guys go in and check with the lowest listed right now with a verified seller, it's going for about $195. So price has since skyrocketed in the past week. So that'll be kind of one of the main topics of conversation today and our predictions. But before we jump into it, as always, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. And if you want to get access to Pokemon Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! Flesh and Blood, and so much more at wholesale prices, make sure to check the link down in the description below for that, or message me on Discord if you have any questions. But you got anything for us, Alex, before we jump into it?
I mean, today's the day. It's Tuesdays of the day you pretend to still be a YouTuber, which is great.
Dude, it's every day I pretend to be a YouTuber. I tell people like, yeah, dude, like I do Pokemon on YouTube, and they're like, you do? It says you haven't posted a video in a year. That's crazy. And I was like, I know, isn't it? I'm just a phony at this point.
Oh man.
But we're here. We're getting close to the end of the storefront, man. As soon as the storefront gets completely finished, I am ready to start posting content again. I was telling Alex this before stream, but we are officially, I've done the running total. We are $32,000 in so far on the storefront. So, and we might be another $5,000 left over, but we're going to keep it roughly under 40 grand for this whole storefront. So it's exciting, and it'll be nice to do a video kind of going through and taking a look at everything, and then also doing a breakdown of what the true cost of owning a storefront is going to be. So that's going to be an exciting video to kind of discuss.
You probably should have bought 40 grand worth of LO, but
dude, what an idiot. What an absolute idiot. It's almost like I had to get the storefront because the wholesale program grew too big. That's kind of a shame. So always the worst. But
yeah, that's happening.
But yeah, no. So, I mean, let's just talk about it now, man. Astral Radiance going to 195. I mean,
yes. Let's talk about. Let's talk about Scarlet Violet base. I mean, Paldea. I mean, Paradox Rift. I mean, Astral Radiance going out of stock on Pokemon Center.
Yeah. I don't know anymore, dude. I am so thrown for a loop. Now. Because for me, it's one of those things where, you know, obviously my stance on the previous video, I'm like, it could play a factor, but I'm not putting too much weight into it. I put more weight in the fact that it's going to sell out at distros. That's kind of what I put, but Astral's been sold out of distros for a while. So it's one of these things where I guess it's like in succession too, right? It's like, and we did talk about this where, all right, it's been out of stock for a while. Astral went up slightly after. Now it's out of stock on Pokemon Center website. And now here we are. So, I mean, there's no denying at this point. I mean, I feel like, yeah, it's pretty hard to deny, I should say, that there is some form of a correlation. Because, I mean, we talked about this last week and it was at around 145. So for it to jump up around $50 is kind of crazy. It looks like someone just listed one for 185 now. So, oh no, it just dropped by $10. Like, whatever.
I mean, I've never seen, I mean, you and you both have been in this hobby a long time. I've never seen it where everyone across the hobby in every different aspect all agree on one thing. And that thing is, when these boxes go out of stock on Pokemon Center, they're going to rise. Like, and so everyone was saying that about Astral. And now everyone was saying about LO and Brilliant Stars before. Astral ended up going out of stock first, but everyone's saying it about Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars. It's like a money cheat code. It's just like, okay, there's going to come a time here in the next weeks, months, whatever. They're going to sell out. They're all going to do what Astral did, if probably better than what Astral did, because they're more sought after sets. And it's one of those things where, like, it shouldn't work, right? It feels wrong that everyone sees it coming and everyone can agree that it's going to happen. But I still think it's going to happen. Like, I don't see it going out of stock and not jumping over $200 in price like everything else did. So it's just a wild time to be in this hobby.
Yeah, well, and for me, I like I said before, was like, all right, I can definitely see it being an effect, but I didn't think it was going to be this strong of an effect in the way in which we've seen the price go. So for me, I guess here's the real question we need to ask ourselves, right? Obviously, Lost Origins, brilliant, right? We'll kind of touch on that here briefly, but it's been out of stock for a while on the distributors pages, right? But as far as it goes with Scarlet Violet product, there is still plentiful amount of them on distributor pages. Do we think that with it being out of stock on Pokemon Center website, it's going to have an effect where, distro pages are going to start to run out? Or do we think that prices are not going to go up until that happens with distributor pages running out? Or do we think ultimately that, what's kind of the situation that you think is going to unfold with this, specifically now that we're kind of going off of what just happened here with Astral?
I think Pokemon's manipulating the market.
You think Pokemon is manipulating the market?
Dude, I honestly do. Yeah.
Is this a serious take, or are we just like?
I am 100% serious. Look, you're not going to convince me, right, that Astral, Lost Origin, Battle Style, Silver Tempest, these booster boxes are sitting on Pokemon Center at $144, and people are paying $160 something for Scarlet Violet base and Paldea and Paradox Rift. Those did not sell out, right? Those had to have been taken down by Pokemon Center to give the impression of things selling out, the impression of like scarcity. And I don't know what they're doing with them. Maybe they're holding them. They're going to come back in stock. Maybe they're just sending everything out to distributors and not holding any product themselves for these sets. I don't really know what's happening behind the scenes, but I find it very hard to believe those sets were actually selling at $160 something.
Oh man,
you asked for it.
That's a tough one, man. Well, because for me, it's one of those things where the arguments that you're making seems like the right answer, but also it's the answer from the perspective of us being the knowledgeable buyers that we are. There are a lot of people that are very that they lack knowledge on general pricing outside of certain sites. And so I can totally see it being a realistic situation where someone doesn't really know, or we hear it all the time, people that don't trust, even if TCG Player is very trustworthy, they don't trust buying from certain sites because they want to know it's coming straight from Pokemon and that they're not going to get fakes. And so they'll be willing to pay more for that, even though it seems kind of dumb in our minds. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I can see a situation that happens. But yeah, to your point, for that to happen before Lost Origin and Lost Origin and Brilliant, that's where it starts to kind of catch me off guard. And it does make me kind of wonder what that is playing into it. And who knows, maybe we're thinking about this all too deeply, but it's hard not to after witnessing what Astral's doing. So, oh man, there's so much complexities that go into this.
Did you see that comment?
Which one?
This live stream series has some of the best FOMO inducing titles. Dude, we literally sit here before the stream and come up with those. Isn't it great?
Well, so I talked about this with Alex on last stream. I was like, I know it's April 2nd, but like, should we say Evolving Skies reprint? I know we missed April Fool's Day, but one of these days, just as like a joke, I just need to come out and say like, yeah, Evolving Skies getting reprinted. So it's always been like a thing we talk about as like joking, but then we look at the market and we're like, honestly, we don't have to make jokes about Evolving Skies going up because holy crap, just look at what all the other boxes have done. It's crazy, man. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, look, Scarlet Violet, I've been very clear on my views. I think it's getting so far past the normal amount of like hate. It is way overhated. It's way over demonized. Like, people literally they're thirsting for like another Moonbreon. They're thirsting for like this like home run set. It's got like every single Pokemon in it. It's got Charizard, Umbreon, Gengar, Giratina. It's got like every single Pokemon all in one set. It's going to $1,000 immediately. And I just think they're stepping over a lot of these like sets that are actually going to be good in the future and actually going to be good investments. But at the same time, no, I don't think there's any like FOMO right now. I don't think you need to like rush out and buy these things because they're out of stock the way that Lost Origin and Brilliant Stars are going to be when they're out of stock. Like, you know, there's always going to be the people out there that say there's still that chance of Pokemon reprinting Sword and Shield. It's like, all right, man, there's a chance of Evolutions getting reprinted. There's a chance of Team Up getting reprinted. How about that? Like, but odds are Sword and Shield's probably seen its last reprint, and Scarlet Violet is probably going to get reprinted. Maybe not all the sets. Like maybe they skip base set because it's just so performing so poorly. But like odds are these are going to get reprinted. They're going to go back in stock. There's no FOMO going on here.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't reprint Paldea Evolved. It's one of these things where if you look at it historically, reprints sometimes will happen in May, but they're usually very small reprints. But most of the time happen during the holiday season. So it does make sense to me that we could see a huge run up of Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes and product going into the winter time. And then all of a sudden we get announcements of reprints of certain items. Like, because ultimately they did a reprint of Scarlet and Violet base around the time of Lost Origin and Silver Tempest, but they had to bundle it to sell it. They don't want to have to bundle reprinted product to make it move. So it makes much more sense for them to play the game of like, let's let it just dry up, get it off of Pokemon Center website, get it off of distributor pages, let the price go up. And then once the prices started to go up, you know, let's say Paldea Evolved goes to 130, 140, then we can talk about reprinting it again. And then it's just kind of done from there, because I think Paldea Evolved is definitely one of the best sets we have so far in Scarlet and Violet. So I would be stunned if that wasn't the one that was going to get the reprint. Definitely hope it's not Obsidian. But here's the real question I need to ask you, Alex. Lost Origin, if it went out of stock tomorrow, Pokemon Center website, what's the prediction?
Well, prediction for how long? Like if it went out of stock tomorrow, what would it be? What, in a week, a month?
You tell me, man. You tell me.
I think Lost Origin will jump higher than Chilling Reign or Fusion Strike did in the same amount of time they did it. So if it, I don't remember exactly how long it took, whether it be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I think Lost Origin will be $250 a box in that same time. And that's just the power of this market right now. I mean, you're seeing alt arts in these sets. I mean, literally go up 100%. And you saw, you know, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike go in the 200s like it was nothing. You're seeing Astral Radiance about to hit. Astral Radiance is, other than battle styles, like the second weakest alt art set pretty much agreed upon across the whole hobby. And it's going to be hitting $200 here soon. To think that like Brilliant Stars and Lost Origin won't be in the mid 200s after they go out of stock, you're kind of fooling yourself. You're, you know, I would almost say delusional at this point to not see what's right in front of your eyes. Like if there was ever a glaring buy in this hobby, it is Astral Radiance and Lost Origin on the Pokemon Center at $143 a box.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense at that point. I'd
almost be open to like do a guarantee, like literally put my money on the line, like, hey, anyone that buys those, I'm not doing this, but it's like I feel this strongly myself. Anyone who buys at 143 in the Pokemon Center, when it goes out of stock, 1, 2, 3 weeks after that, you will be up money. Like that's basically the level of almost guarantee there is here.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, I don't see why not. Literally, it's happened with every set that's gone out of stock on the Pokemon Center website. So it just feels like that's the inevitable conclusion. And with that being said, is now the next inevitable conclusion. People are going to start taking this FOMO-inducing, you know, surge with Astral as a way to now you got to get an LO. Like obviously, we're people here that always talk about patience. But like I've been talking about LO since the reprint going up. And I've said for the longest time, like, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now. And it just feels like it's one of these things where once that Pokemon Center website runs out of stock with LO, I'm not saying you're too late, but I am saying that the conversation of me saying buy it now starts to dwindle more and more each time, because I don't think it's a hot take to say it's not a bad price buying it at the Pokemon Center website for 144. Like, especially considering right now market is 177. You can go flip it and still make a profit on the secondary market. So your loss on this, I mean, let's just do the math here, right? If
Well,
you
here,
can
the
sell it,
cases on eBay are selling in the 1200s. I mean, like literally there's $100 plus profit after fees and shipping to be made, flipping it from the Pokemon Center to eBay right now.
wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I actually want to look it up.
it's wild. But I mean,
right?
what's that?
You said cases?
Yeah, I mean, if you just type in Lost Origin booster box and sort by highest first, you can see sales like the 7th, the 6th, 7th, 8th, like all in the 1200s.
So last sold, it looks like no way someone was that dumb. That's insane to me.
Dude, I mean, this is the thing. Like, again, I think it's from people being deep in the hobby. I mean, I know myself. I did not know Pokemon Center existed for years until I was in the hobby. There is a lot of people that are in this hobby. They don't know what Pokemon Center is. They don't know. Like, honestly, a lot of people.
What?
A lot of people only buy off one site. Like, I know a lot of people that will just buy eBay. They don't care. They're buying off eBay, or they're just buying TCG Player. They don't care what it. And that's just how this hobby is. And like, for people who shop around, for like investors, really deep people, it blows their minds. But you have to understand the regular old consumer. Like, hey, people that shop on Amazon, like, guess what? They don't want to drive to Walmart and Target and here and there. They just want to click add to cart and send it out of their house. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's more expensive. They don't care. And that's kind of how this is in Pokemon. It's not everyone's shopping for the best deal. Like you said, they're looking for a place that's trusted. Maybe when they find a seller that they're trusted, they'll just keep buying from that seller, whether they're the cheapest or not. That's just kind of how this market works.
Well, so I'm looking right now. So last sold was 1,250. Then, and that was yesterday. You had another sale for 900. However, the following sale the day before on the 7th was 1,250 again. You had another sale for 1,300 the same day. Another sale for 1,200 on the 1st, and another sale for 1,000 that same day, and then before that 1,200. So I mean, it ultimately does look like there are sales being made for around the 1,200 on a pretty consistent basis. Lowest listed that I'm seeing right now on, oh, that's a bid. There's a bid going on and it's at 820 right now, and another bid going on at 920 right now with 30 bids. And
people are so confident they're auctioning off modern sealed product.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm seeing lowest listed right now that I can see is 1,208. That's the lowest listed if you want to buy it right now. So, and yeah, that's wild to me. Let's just have a thought experiment, right? If you're selling it at $200 a box, if you sell it off as a case, after fees, you're going to be making 174, and then after shipping, we'll say $10, you're going to make 164. So if you buy a case off Pokemon Center website, you're profiting $20. So even if you say, all right, I can't sell for 1,200, if you go sell it on TCG Player, at worst case scenario, you're breaking even. Which, as an investment, if you're picking up a product and you're able to break even after shipping and fees, that is such a nice negated risk for you, because it's not one of these things where you're like, all right, I'm buying it at market and I hope it goes up because right now I'm down 15% because of after shipping and fees. Like, no, you're going to at worst break even based off of current market prices. So that's wild to me.
I had Pokemon Plumber on my live stream yesterday, and we talked about this, but anyone didn't see that. When you see these high pop reports on these alt arts, think about this, right? It's pretty agreed upon by anyone that does mass box openings. A lot of these alt arts are like 500 plus to 1 odds on opening out a pack. So it takes like 500 packs to pull these things. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Umbreon, Moonbreon has over 10,700 tens. That's not even the raws, the nines, everything else. Just the tens. You multiply that by 500 packs. That's 5 million. That's over 5 million packs just right there. You take all the near mint copies, the nines, eights, all that. That's how many packs and boxes have already been opened of that product. So again, we don't know print runs, but we know that the amount of this product that has been opened and people think it's just going to last forever. I don't know how much Pokemon prints, but with that many packs being opened, there's less out there than people think. And the same thing goes for even sets like Astral, Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars. Like, so much has been removed from the market. Just looking at like the amount of cards that like the population of the cards, and it kind of give you some sort of like relaxation to know that, okay, people actually do open this stuff. Not everyone's just storing it in their closets like everyone's made to believe. Something to think about.
Well, what's also crazy to think about too is you have distributors now trying to like push bundle deals for like trainer toolkits and other like miscellaneous older items that everyone is like, no one wants a trainer toolkit, but they're like, but it has evolving skies in it, guys. Of course you want to buy it. Like, it's wild to think where we are at this point, where people that can't afford the booster boxes, that just want to be able to open the packs for as cheap as possible, are willing to go and buy that like miscellaneous product no one really cares about, just to be able to get access to Sword and Shield product, and seeing the prices, you know, move because of that.
Are you seeing like more of those orders come in?
Specifically on like the wholesale program?
Yeah.
I haven't looked most recently, but I do know that my distributor yesterday sent me a dude crazy bundle deal. He sent me a bundle deal where you get like a bunch of like 151 product, but you have to buy 2022 trainer toolkits and stuff. So it looks like they are trying to get rid of a lot of trainer toolkits, or at least push them, which, you know, the 2022s do have evolving in them and other such things. It's just hard for me because it's like, listen, I understand you're trying to sell trainer toolkits because of evolving skies, but I don't know. Maybe people will bite it on it.
I mean, Flower City Cars made a great point. Can't wait to watch the Charizard UPC blow up.
Oh, like, that's a fantastic point. That is a fantastic point.
Every pack in that UPC is those sets are all going crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, and there's still so much value too in terms of breakdown, because you have the promos, you have the playmats, you have the die and the sleeves, which crazy enough are worth something. So you have this like variation of Sword and Shield era packs, and it's nothing Scarlet and Violet, all Sword and Shield era, and it's got multiple evolving skies. So yeah, it definitely feels like an item that it wouldn't surprise me if people started literally opening up, breaking it down just to get access to the packs and selling off the promos. I'm actually curious, what are the Charizard promos going for?
I actually just I broke down one. Just for fun. Me and my wife wanted to open the packs, but I sent in the promos. I got the V-Star in a 10. It just sold literally the day I listed it, $100. The other ones got 9s, but you know they'll sell. I'll make my grading money back and then some. Pulled a couple other cards I graded that got 10s, like an Aerodactyl Rainbow from Lost Origin. Like literally going to profit on opening the Charizard UPC, because the amount of packs you get, you're going to get some hits if they're gradable, if they're worth something. The promos themselves, if you get like one of the 10s, especially the VMAX or the V-Star, they're $100+ cards. It's just like, I mean, especially if you got it in the 80s or 90s, at this point, it's like almost free money.
So V-Star's going for $10 right now. The VMAX is going for $13 right now. So that's $23 right there. And then the sleeping zard is going for about $6, it looks like. So you're basically getting roughly around $30 in value just from the promos themselves off of just raw, right?
And I think there's 2 Evolving Skies packs. There's another 20.
Yeah. So you've got 16 packs in total within this item. So if you just take away the value, if we're just talking before fees, right? The $30 you get, 83 divided by 16. It says you're paying $5 a pack, but that's not including the fact that you've got multiple evolving skies, which are going for double that. You also have the playmats, which you can sell off, and the dice and the other such items. So, I mean, I feel like if you really want to go crazy with it and you see if you can go pick it up for around like that $100 price point, I mean, it could be worth something, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, or if you don't want to open the packs, like you said, break it down, sell the packs, just grade the promos or sell the promos.
Yeah, that's another good thing too. Is yeah, the example I gave was if you just want to sell off the cards raw, right? If you go in, let's say you go mass do this, and you just, all right, I've got 20 of each one of the promos. Let's see which ones are the best condition. Send those ones off. You hit 10s on them. I mean, you're gonna profit. So you just got to be.
Here's the other side of that too. Say you don't want to do all that, right? Well, there will be people that will eventually start doing things like that, which boom, the supply just starts getting crushed. Prices start going up. I mean, it's just like it's the time continuing vortex type thing, right? It's just like product disappears from the market, the sealed price goes up, the products inside start going up, so that pushes the sealed product up. The promos start holding value, so that keeps the product up. It's just that's why I like products like that. It's like if you get in at the right price, it's very hard to lose over time.
No, 1000%, man. It's crazy. So where do you think, I mean, obviously with Scarlet and Violet product being out on the Pokemon Center website, where do you think it moves from here? Do you think we're going to see it start to go out on distributor pages next? Do you think that prices are just going to move up, and then what's kind of like, what's the chain of events that we think is going to happen with it going out of Pokemon Center website?
I don't think it's going to have an effect like Sword and Shield. I mean, I think, except for some of the people out there who are like still holding on for like, that last ditch effort of hope, I think most people kind of consider Sword and Shield to be done and it's not going to come back. No reprints are coming. And so I think that's a lot different effect than the Scarlet Violet sets. I don't think people are going to start FOMOing in the way we see with Sword and Shield. I could be wrong. I think I said at the beginning of the year, one of my like predictions, I think all these sets will probably be over $100. I mean, sets like Paldea may get into like 120s, maybe 130s if we're really lucky this year. But I think they'll all get, they'll all break out of the 90s. They'll be in the hundreds, 110s, maybe 120s. And I just don't see it like spiking up very much further this year. I just think it's too early.
You don't think there's a chance that, let's say, Paldea goes to 150 in the next?
I would love it. I have more Paldea cases than I have anything else at this point.
Really? So you've really just been picking up a ton of Paldea.
Dude, I love the set. I believe in Scarlet and Violet. I like that set. I think I like when people are very negative on things, and that's how they are in Scarlet and Violet right now. And it just makes sense to me.
So what you're telling me is you're a huge fan of trainer toolkits? No.
Pick them up.
Pick them up. You heard it here first. People are negative on them. It's a good buy. All right. Classic collections then. You heard it here first. Time to buy them out.
No, I will never tell anyone to buy that product.
But hey, if you're negative about classic collections, does that mean you have to double down? Like, is that where we're going with it? No, I'm just kidding.
Classic collections are like, that's a disaster of a product, in my opinion. It's one of two things, right? It's 3 years too late, or it's $300 too overpriced. One of the two. It's one of the two. Like, it either should have came out as a $100 item, or they could have done $400 if it was during the boom. It would have been fine. But it's like, it's either 3 years too late or $300 over value.
So Paldea Evolved is selling for 108 right now. So I mean,
and the cases are actually moving in like the 630 to 650 range, which is nice to see.
Okay.
Because usually, you know how it is. Like in the beginning, cases usually are at a discount to boxes. But then as things age, the cases actually sell at a premium. And we're starting to see the cases sell basically at the same price as 6 boxes now. So it is starting to like end up, maybe a case premium will eventually come from Paldea here soon. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows, man? Well, it's I guess for me, the reason why I kind of chose Paldea as the point of discussion for where we think that one's going to go is because obviously we like it the most, but that's the one that I feel like is the most scarce currently speaking on distributor pages. So I feel like if it's the one that's going to pop off, it's going to be Paldea. Where are you picking them up for? Do you know? I don't think that Safari Zone's selling them for 90 anymore, but I could be wrong.
No, I haven't. I picked up a couple recently, but it was like in a big collection purchase I bought out where I got them under market. Before that, I was picking them up like Black Friday, Christmas deals.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was just a private collection I bought out. So I don't know of like any deals out there right now under 100.
Yeah.
Or I mean, there's probably eBay might be under 100, but not like in the 80s anymore.
Right. Yeah, that was a nice time. Scarlet and Violet base, though, you can still pick that up on distributor pages for in the 80s. That's for sure. Yeah.
Where are distributors at on that? Are they really in the 80s still?
At least last time I saw, that was like last week. I mean, who knows? I could double check and see if it's something that has since shifted. But
I might pick up more of that.
Oh, it looks like this week it just went up. It was at 88 last week. It's now 93.50 for one of the distributors.
Hey, I said it before, man. I'm gonna look like a genius or a complete idiot, but I'm picking up Scarlet Violet and I'm holding it, and even at higher rates than I did in Sword and Shield.
93.50. That's interesting to me. I mean, you can still. What are you getting it on? You're getting on TCG Player for 93. Seems like a bold statement on their part to say we'll match TCG Player price. But I mean, I guess you don't have to pay the fees. I don't know. That's weird. Or tax, I should say. But I don't know. It's a weird one for me. But you can probably find it for much cheaper still elsewhere. That's for sure. But I don't know. Are you picking up a ton of base for Scarlet and Violet, or is there?
No, I have the least base and Obsidian. I have Paldea's by far the most, and then Paradox Rift and Temporal Force. I already have Temporal Forces just because I didn't. It's one of those things where it's like I didn't know if all this stuff was gonna, like, even if it wasn't short printed, if a lot of people would think it's short printed and it would like cause a stir. So I got some Temporal Forces I'm sitting on. I'll probably get more because I do like that set. I do believe in it, but yeah, base and Obsidian, I'm definitely like shorter on than the other sets.
People are saying Hills Wholesale is selling it for $99 a box for Paldea.
And then, yeah, but like with Hills Wholesale, it's like you get charged shipping. So technically it's still over 100.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not know that. Dang.
Yeah, you like to charge shipping.
That's definitely not the play then. If you get charged.
I mean, it is if you order enough, right? Like if you order a bunch of things and they all combine, it'll take like the cost per box down to like $1 or $2. So like it can be a play, but if you're just going on there and buying like one box or one case, it's going to put you over 600.
Yeah. Let's take, I want to take questions a little bit earlier this time around. I know we usually do it at the 45-minute mark, but I got an extremely jam-packed day, and I keep saying that the last two times, but this time being the busiest of them all. So I can't do an hour and a half, 2 hours like we have the last couple. So we'll start taking questions now. If there's any that you kind of see off the top, if not,
I will say one thing. Everyone needs to go check out these bad boys. Check out.
Oh man.
Go check out the Espeon Sword and Shield 174 on they were the Fusion Strike blister packs. Go check out TCG Player right now. They're like 4 listings away from being bought out, up to $10 plus a card. Wild times, guys.
3-pack blister promos, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I told you before, I watch it. It's something that people definitely pick up on. That's for sure. Yeah,
it's just people are looking for plays. I mean, they're looking at the alt arts. They're moving from the alt arts to hollows and promos, and then it's back to boxes, and people, then it's to other hobbies. Then it's to Lorcana, One Piece, Star Wars. Like, people are just looking for plays, and we kind of talked about it when the Japanese market, is cratered. There's some people that are, quote unquote, buying the dip, but a lot of people are shifting focus, and they're coming back to English, and they're looking for plays here again. And you're just seeing that money pour into this market so much faster than we saw.
Yeah. I feel like we get asked this every single week, but we'll answer it as always. You had $200 to use for Sword and Shield. Do you buy loose packs or sealed product like booster boxes? I feel like that's an easy answer.
Well, yeah, but which ones?
I mean, for me, probably LO.
$200.
But it's not like, obviously you can do it evenly, right? Like, yeah, if you're gonna go buy booster boxes, there's none that you're gonna buy for
200. Is so hard. You only get one box. I mean, you can't buy two. Like, maybe if you found a deal on Battle Styles, but I think even Battle Styles is over that. Like, yeah, it would have to be like probably LO at this point.
I would take one LO and loose packs of a specific Sword and Shield era set rather than 2 Battle Styles for sure.
Yeah, I'll take LO at what is it, like
177? It's 177.
And then give me a few Evolving Skies packs.
But you just go get it, obviously, Pokemon Center website for 144. You just pay that plus the tax on it.
Yeah, give me like that with tax, and then like 4 packs of Evolving Skies.
Yeah, I think I would go that route, and then I would I'd probably buy Chilling or Fusion loose packs. I feel like I'd go Chilling. I like chilling loose. I don't know why. I just do, but it's probably because it's so much harder to find right now. Like it's not like it's not hard to find evolving loose, but I feel like chilling is one of those ones where it's started to become ever so scarce. So it wouldn't surprise me if the packs for loose started to go up more sooner than later.
Salvatore said legit ordered cases of LO, turning the stream LOL. Hey, I did the same thing. I woke up this morning and I was just like, you know what? Today feels like a day to buy another case of LO. Logged on Pokemon Center and ordered another case.
You know, it's the worst because like I'm putting all my money into the storefront. And so I just sit here and say, how much credit card debt do I want to put myself in right now? I'm like, this is not a good decision.
Yeah, after I put in that order, I started frantically listing my last PSA order to start recouping some of this money I've been spending. I mean, dude, I have a stack of alt arts like this high right now, like because I've been picking up alt arts for the past couple months, and then I really ramped it up the past couple of weeks as they were like getting out of reach, and so now it's to the point where it's like, well, can barely even buy them at these prices they're at now. It sucks.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. This is more of a question for me, but they asked what my monthly overhead cost in the store is. I talked about this in one of my other videos, and people said that they thought I was crazy for how high it is, but welcome to commercial real estate in one of the highest demand markets in the country. So our location is going to be 2,400 square feet. I pay $4,000 a month in rent. Then you also have for electricity. Obviously, it changes depending upon the time of year. It's going to be expensive in the summer. But if we're talking about off seasons, I was quoted that it was going to be roughly around $1,500 for electricity. Then you've got our other expenses like our general utility costs and internet that we pay, as well as security cameras and that whole thing. So that adds on about another $300. So I want to say if we're not including like cost of labor, employees and stuff, it's about $5,000. But you also have to consider the overhead cost of hiring employees and what that kind of looks like. Because Phoenix minimum wage right now is, I think it's $14.20 or $14.50. I can't remember. But let's just say 15 to just kind of round it up. If you're wanting a full-time employee that you're paying, 40 hours a week and they're working for you each month, you're basically going to have an employee at $2,500 is how much you're paying if they're working 40 hours. So, and that's one employee. So if you want to have, $5,000 for the overhead plus the one employee, you're looking at around $7,500. If you want two employees, it's roughly around $10,000. So you just have to kind of ask yourself the question, how much do you value hiring an employee or not? Because that's going to be a huge part of the overhead cost, which is expensive. So, and it's not one of these things, well, why don't you pay them less? It's like, minimum's around $14 already. So you can't just, we're not living in the Midwest here. We're paying a freaking ham sandwich and a nickel for minimum wage. Like I feel like Missouri, where you live, actually has a decent minimum wage, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
I really don't know. It's been so long since I've been like worried about that. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, no, that's kind of the cost basis of the storefront. So it's expensive though in the area that I live. It was, funny enough, one of the cheapest, like for where I am, it was one of the cheapest rates that I could get, because in like the general Gilbert area, most commercial real estate at that size is starting out at around $5,500. So I just got a deal because I got it in Ahwatukee, which is like closer to Phoenix. So you're getting like the nice location without paying the premium because you're in a different zip code. So it's expensive owning a storefront. So, but we'll do a full breakdown on that later. So it's definitely something that we'll talk about more in depth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that $1.22 shipping on TCG Player probably helped out, right?
Oh my gosh, dude, that's been so fantastic. It's been so nice. Yeah, because shipping's, I mean,
Mason did like a whole rant video on it. I watched, and it was good. I mean, he's just like talking about, and I feel the same way. It's like people are just like, they value their time at zero. And I've always kind of fought against that in this like flipper community, whatever people want to say, like business community, whatever they call themselves. But it's like, people just don't value their time. It's like, guys, the time it took to get the cards, whether you bought bulk or bought collections, whatever it may be, the time it takes to sort them, condition them, list them, package and ship them, however you're doing your envelopes, whatever. It's like, that amount of time, what's that worth to you? It's like people, cutting their prices down to nothing and like charging exactly what it costs to ship. It's like, man, like it's like like Mason said, TCG player literally had to raise their shipping costs because people weren't raising their prices like to make it worth it for themselves. So TCG players said, hey, we'll do it for you because you idiots aren't charging enough.
Well, so one of the things I talk about a ton, both in the wholesale program and just in general, because there's a lot of people that are in the wholesale program that are like streamers. And I feel a story as old as time, even not streamers, right? Whether they are in the program for buying product to break down and sell off singles. But I remember I had a conversation with someone who they were telling me that when they were streaming, they were making, I think, around $100 an hour is how much they were making when they were streaming. And
All right.
I was like, oh man, how many hours are you streaming a day? And they're like, oh, about 4 hours. I'm like, 4 hours? Why are you streaming so little if you're making that much? He's like, well, because it takes me about 4 hours to package up the product. And I'm like, so you're paying yourself $50 an hour to package product? That seems expensive. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, if you work 8 hours a day and you stream for 4 hours where you make $100 and then you package those other 4 hours, you've got 4 hours that you're literally spending making money and 4 hours that is helping sell or ship the product that made you the money. Why not go hire someone, pay them $15 an hour to go ship out the product for you, and you go stream for another 4 hours? You're
taking a leap though, right? Like you're taking a leap expecting those other 4 hours to pay as good as the other 4. Like if you went out further or streamed more days or streamed more often, you might have like less customers or those customers spending less per stream or whatever. So like, you don't really know.
But in this example that I'm giving, it was one of those things where the demand was so high for him in his situation that he wanted to, he just didn't have the time to do it. So obviously that is a point to bring up. It does change on each person's situation, right? Because as we all know, like you don't want to spread yourself too thin to where you're now making less because you're streaming more. But in this specific situation, in the example that I'm trying to make, is that always consider the value of your time, and if you can find a way to cut costs in other ways. That's kind of the point I'm trying to, I guess, more or less make.
Did he hire a shipper?
He hired a shipper, and he makes now twice as much money.
Awesome.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where people don't really consider that when you are doing a specific task, you are then having to find a value for that task and how much you're really paying yourself for that. And if you can find a way to continuously generate more money for yourself and then outsource the tasks that are not giving you that same equated value, then you're going to in turn make more money, right? It's like, would you rather make $1,000 a week, but you only work for 10 hours? Or would you rather, make $2,000 in a week, but you're working 40 hours? You're obviously making more on a per hourly basis, even if that dollar value is less. And that's something that's important to consider when it comes to just basically, I mean, that's the reason why I have my card sorting machines. Like literally I have a Roka and a Fizzbatch, which I got for card sorting. And you literally just go in, you buy the machines, or you lease them, or you pay however much you want to pay, because there's so many different options to go about it. And with that, it's like having an employee where I pay them like $2 an hour if you break it down, or something crazy like that. So the cost of like outsourcing labor and how much it's ultimately going to save you from an efficiency perspective, it's something people don't really consider. And you definitely want to always be taking into consideration is how valuable is your time.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think that's one of the biggest issues in this community is people just, and the issue is like everyone's got different, like, I guess, interests in life. And so a lot of people will just write it off as, well, I'm doing what I enjoy, and so it's not work to me, and so I don't care. It's just like, but reality, you're spending your time, sitting there shipping, do all this stuff where it's like, well, you'd be making as much or more money if you could just like find better ways, better processes. But I mean, then the other thing it comes down to, I always talk about, is like the whole sales thing, right? Like you talked about, you're going to show like a lot more sales, but the money might be similar to the same. And so a lot of people who are especially newer or smaller, they see some big players like, oh, well, I did $1 million in sales last year. It's like, well, they don't tell you they still made like 90 grand, it's like, and so it's important people not get mesmerized by the big numbers and realize like, well, hey, as you start doing more and more numbers, you are going to have to either get a machine, start, get hire an employee, like buy equipment that's going to, make your processes better. Like understand there are growing, kind of like we're going through with the store. It's like there's growing expenses.
Oh, 100%. Well, I mean, like the wholesale program, right? For example, obviously this is where I make my living is off the wholesale program. I don't make money off the boxes. I sell everything to you guys at cost. Obviously, there's certain sort of like material expense costs that are kind of baked slightly into it, but I really make all of my money off the memberships, right? And so it's very much like, hey, this is how much I'm going to make. How do I, in theory, make more money off of the just flat rate, right? Because it's not dynamic. It's not like more sales equals more money. It's like, no, I'm going to make it off of whatever the monthly membership is, no matter how much labor I put into it. So for me, it's one of these things where, all right, how do I make that money the most worth it? And it's by constantly cutting down the amount of hours that I have to spend within the process of the wholesale program, right? And so I remember at first, when we first started the wholesale program, shout out to those guys who have been there since the beginning, I literally had it where I created an order sheet for 50 different people. So each person had their own order sheet, which was extremely inefficient. And I would spend hours upon hours upon hours just fulfilling orders, right? Then we came up with the master tracking sheet, which cut down my labor by like 70%, which is insane to think about, right? But then progressively, as the program started to grow and we started to get a lot more members and sales started to go through the roof, then the volume started to pick up, right? And then from that, we found ways to efficiently automate the way in which we ship product. And so it's been an ever growing progression where like before, if we were to do a new set release of like 200, 300 booster boxes, it would usually take us about 10 hours to ship it out. Now we're doing new set releases for 2,000 booster boxes, and it takes us less than 2 hours to ship out.
Dude,
So,
you need to get set up on some kind of referral program. Look at this. We got people. Eli has convinced me to get a sorting machine. I might also get a paper folding machine. I just got a call with TCG player for a sorter. I might take the leap. I mean, dude, you need to get on their payroll right now. You're a marketing campaign for them.
I mean, it sounds like I definitely need to do it. And it's not even like I'm not even trying to like sell you guys in a way of like I'm sponsored or anything. I'm literally just like, hey guys, I've made a video showing you what I do. Here's what I do. If you like it and you want to copy and paste it, sure. If not, then great. Do whatever you want. I'm just talking from my experience. And like honest to God, the reason why I got the machine is because Rob with RNG Games. I had conversation with Rob. He's been doing this for a while. You know where Rob decided to get a machine from? He got it from the biggest TCG players or TCG sellers on the overall market, which did $17 million in sales, I think, in 2022. I don't know what they did in 2023. But so it's like we're all piggybacking off of one another and trying to find ways to make money. And we're looking at the models that work not only best for us, but, kind of seeing, hey, this business is successful, right? Gaming Co. made $17 million. How do I copy their model so I can try and do what they're doing and make the money they're making? And, I've talked about the video before. It's I've linked it in previous videos, but it's not the most it's not the most glamorous one, but it was literally the Gaming Co. They made a video because they got invited by TCG player to go speak at an event, and they just broke down like, hey, here's what our business operation is like, here's what we do, here's what we value, here's how we made the money we made. And they just talk about it, right? And a lot of people aren't interested in that, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's a market they're making a crap ton of money on because they're using the automations they are to get where they are.
Hey, take Elite Ultra 98's question. It's that longer one.
Okay.
Here, so I'm also contemplating selling my full art trainers, predominantly waifu cards, and alt arts to buy more sealed product. It's spiking quicker and probably higher. Is that a good idea for the moment? Ultra, I think I would check the market. I think the alt arts are spiking more than the sealed product right now. Unless you're talking,
also don't know which alt arts he's talking about, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless you're talking about Sun and Moon alt arts. But if you have Sword and Shield alt arts, I'd check because I've actually bought and I'm holding a good amount of Sword and Shield alt arts right now because of the momentum they're having in the market. But yeah, if you're talking about like the waifu and like tag teams and stuff, there's no telling the future. But yeah, I mean that market's definitely cooled off. Like it could go through a stagnation period. sets like Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars at Pokemon Center, or even Silver Tempest, like those might have a better short-term future. So I get that, but hopefully you're not talking about Sword and Shield alt arts.
Yeah, Sun and Moon alt arts, they kind of had their peak and they've been retracing since then. So it's kind of hard to say if that's what you're discussing or the Sword and Shield alt arts, which are going up like crazy right now. So,
dude, look how much heat we're getting for the title. Look, Philip, why such a FOMO title? That's like the second or third comment like that.
It's always a FOMO title, baby. But honestly, it's like,
is it wrong?
It's not wrong. That's what I was about to say.
I mean, here, Philip, I would be willing to venture a guess that by next week, Astral Radiance will be $200 a box. I mean, it's close enough right now.
It's not that far off. I mean, when we talked about Fusion, it was at 200. Now it's at, I think, 230, 240. So, I mean, it's gone up. So, yeah, I don't think we're too far off from that with Astral. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're just talking hypotheticals on what's going to happen next based off of what's kind of been happening for the past 2 months. This isn't like a basis of like conspiracy theory. Let's kind of make a prediction off of nothing. You know, this is, hey, we're seeing prices go crazy based off of Pokemon Center website running out of supply for these boxes. What's the next one that's going to go off? And we kind of think that's LO and Brilliant.
Pokepon, he must be talking about like Twice Baked Jake. That Jake had the same title today. I had the same title last week. We promise we didn't go search the internet and try to steal people's titles. We just brainstormed this beforehand. I swear.
Twice Baked Jake?
I don't know. We didn't go look around and try to like, you know, steal people's stuff. We're just trying to come up with something catchy here. All right.
Yeah, I don't follow Twice Baked Jake, so that's interesting. So the title he had is "These products are now 2 years old. Last call on Sword and Shield era." I mean, that's not that similar. Ours is way more clickbaity. And then his is "Why collectors are afraid of reprints. Why I love them." Yeah, but like last week, our conversation was talking about singles. We talked about XY era and Sun and Moon era singles. So I don't know if I would go that far. But okay. Oh, this is an interesting one. I live in Norway and SV box is about 160 MSRP. How could I buy from the US avoiding taxes in Norway? I want to invest, but it feels wrong buying at 160 a box. Dude, that's so hard. See, that's the biggest thing that's so difficult is because like it's so easy for me to say like, oh yeah, I can go sell you like Scarlet and Violet booster boxes in the 80s or 90s or like I'd love to do that, but when you start talking about the shipping and the import taxes and everything going on, it's like you have to be able to find a way to have like a forward shipping middleman carrier that's going to be able to help provide the lowest cost of facilitating the shipping / tax process. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can do that, then you can obviously get yourself into the United States market, but that's kind of the big thing with that.
Well, I mean, what's the market in Norway? Like, what are people paying like just on eBay or whatever site is used over there on the open market? Because it could be relative, right? Like, maybe we can buy it for 90 here, but we can only sell it for 90. Like, if you're buying it for 160 and you're selling for 160, it's still an even wash. And like, so say our boxes go to 120, does that mean yours are up at 180, 200? Like, is it? That's what I don't know about foreign markets.
What's the arbitrage plays, if there are any?
It's hard. I just don't know enough about how the other markets operate. Everything's so like wonky too. Like you'll have things in Australia, you know, still like on the market, open market, like Fusion Strike was for a long time while it was out of stock here, going for low. You'll have like different items in stock in Pokemon Center in like the UK than you do here and in Canada. It's like everything's so off. And so it's just so hard to compare different markets overseas.
Just curious of your thoughts. My local card shop closed down. He had to sell everything. I bought 2 complete Pokemon Tops Chrome Series 1 and 2 full sets, all card minty.
Grade them.
That's pretty cool.
Taylor, send them into grade, man.
If they're really minty, that's actually really sweet. I mean, just look at the market. Yeah. See how much you can get them for graded. And if you think they're that minty and you can make more money, then yeah, obviously that's what seems like to be the clear play. If you had to pick between clear single opportunities like buying megas in anticipation of the next legend or clear seal like Lost Origin from 1 year window, what do you pick? I pick Lost Origin for sure. Because for me, like Lost Origin feels less speculative just based on the fact that like we've already seen Lost Origin's performance in the short term and how it's just gone up from the reprint back up to 177. And so I feel extremely confident with that. And then on top of it, you also take into consideration that you had Fusion, Chilling, and Astral all go out of stock on the Pokemon Center website and then them skyrocketing in price. So we know that this is happening at this very moment in time versus with Megas. Obviously, we looked at remakes of games like Diamond Pearl or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And so we did see that kind of correlation with level X cards and other cards within that same generation go up. But at the end of the day, it's still not as definitive. It's more than likely, but there's just so much more clear evidence in this very moment in time that more than likely LO is going to follow the other booster boxes. So it just seems like a much safer play, especially since we know that LO has been strong performing, whereas historically speaking, Megas were not exactly looked too kindly to when it comes to their art designs. So I would deem them to be slightly more risky, but there is a lot of upside still that you could potentially make with it. Honestly, I would argue that if we are right with the megas, I feel like there's more like percentage upside than there is with LO, but LO, you're going to make so much money potentially in the short term, even with such a lower mitigated risk, because you're going to have mega cards that you're probably going to buy for like $4 or $5 that are going to go to like $20, $30. So like from a percentage perspective, you're making like 5-6x, right? But ultimately at the end of the day, that's if you're right. If you're wrong, then you're sitting on something. Whereas with LO, hey, if I make 50% plus on LO with very little risk with the assumption that it's going to follow the trend, then I mean, that just feels like a safe play. So, and not to mention too, as well, you also have to think the megas, this new game doesn't come out till 2025. We don't even know the exact date of 2025. So I feel like you can play both plays. If you really want to double parlay it, you could easily do LO now. And then based off of how that performs, you can then sell off some of your shares and then go in and diversify with megas.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say after taxes, you're picking up LO at like 150 to 155 a box, like on Pokemon Center. Let's say 150. I mean, if those jump up by the end of the year to like 225 or something, even after shipping and fees, like you're going to make a good percentage gain on those. And you can just take all that profits, throw them into XY. And then even if you're wrong, it's like, well, I mean, I'm just playing with house's money at this point. So like, yeah, I'm with Eli there. I don't think there's like a rush for XY the way that I feel like there's a rush for LO. Again, I feel like there is. It could be wrong. We could see it on Pokemon Center for the next months. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it's more urgent than XY.
Yeah, no, 1000%. It's kind of hard to deny it. It feels urgent for sure. What do you think about PokeRev's Umbreon V Pump? Will it stay up or fall off?
All right, so I gotta tell a story.
You got to talk about this from my perspective.
So here's the thing. It's like you kind of create your own luck, right? Like I knew the alt arts were going to be pumping when Sword and Shield started pumping. I called it like 4 months ago. And a few weeks ago, I was at my local card shop and they had an Umbreon V PSA 10 in the case for, it was like, I believe it was like $190. And I bought so much stuff and I got them to take 10% off the whole order. So, I mean, I got a PSA 10 on that card for like $171 or something. And overnight after PokeRev talked about it, it's just like, I believe it's like, I have to check. I don't even know what it's at. It could be like in the mid 200s now, like in raw we're talking about. Let me check. No, okay. So we're seeing there's one listing with the guy with 3 sales at 165 and then it jumps up to 190. So it's like $190 card. So basically raw, it's going for as much as I paid PSA 10 literally a few weeks ago. Guys, here's the thing. Did PokeRev do anything wrong? No, like the dude literally just said he liked the card. He's got so much power right now that it's got to be hard for him to even like deal with, where he can literally just mention that he likes a card or he sees a card doing well. and it just sends it to the absolute moon. I mean, guys, when I'm talking about the moon, I mean, the card was 89.50 in the middle of March, and it doubled in literally, I mean, a couple weeks. And so we never saw this with our creators, right? I mean, if you guys have been around a while, we didn't see Leonhardt talk about a card and go to the moon. We didn't see Unlisted Leaf talk about a card and go to the moon. Like PokeRev, this is just a different era. He's got a different level of power, and it's going to be interesting to see like the next card he ever slips up and talks about, to see if this is like trend continues. Maybe it's just like a right place, right time. All the altars were already going crazy. He talked about one right in the right time. It's strange, man. It's really strange.
That's crazy that it went up that much. And it's funny too, because I was literally just looking at this card not too long ago, because I was like, huh, you know, for what it's worth, I feel like a lot of these V cards are pretty underpriced if you consider the fact that there's a lot of alternate arts popping off in the Sword and Shield era. Like I'm looking at like the Glaceon, for example, or the Espeon V, and I'm like, the fact that this is selling in the like 50s and 60s, that feels kind of low. And I was looking at the Umbreon thinking the same thing. And so for it to now double, I'm like, I can't say I'm surprised, but I'm definitely a little sad, because I'm like, I would love to definitely get my hands on master setting Evolving Skies at some point. So that doesn't make it much easier for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them are getting properly valued finally. I think some of them are probably maybe a little overvalued, but I just think the alt arts have been undervalued since the last kind of downturn they had, and I just think things are finally getting properly valued. Even like Pika Papa put up a video of like a lot of the cards, like they're just now recovering, and some haven't even recovered from their 1 year highs they were at. Like they're still down. So it's people are seeing the movement and thinking like it's too high or something. It's like it's just moving up quickly because the market's in an uptick, but they're not really that much higher than they used to be. It's not like they're going to the moon. It's just they're getting properly valued again because the negativity was at all-time highs last year.
I mean it's the sealed product. The sealed product's moving more than the singles, which makes an argument that a lot of the singles are undervalued, I feel.
Yeah.
I know I'll probably get crap for showing this master set, but I mean, I might as well share it for those that actually care to see what I got going on here.
Battle Styles?
Dude, I got the full Battle Styles master set here. I'm going to have to get this better close from the camera so people can see without the glare.
Dude, see, you don't want to get to like be like me, because all I see when I see a binder like that is I see, dude, I just want to go through it and see if any of those are gradable.
Oh my gosh, really? Yeah, no, dude. I got the complete master set. I got all the cards in reverse foil, and then I got all of the, you know, just everything, ultra rare, secret rares, full arts, everything.
I mean, speaking of that Tyranitar, that's like a $200 plus card now in a 10.
I mean, that you know, it's pretty cheap too. I think we talked about it last week with the single price. But yeah, no, I have a master set of like 3 or 4 of the Sword and Shield eras, but it's one of those things where it's gotten expensive to keep.
Hold on. I gotta cut you off.
What?
Tyranids. A few weeks ago, a vintage Umbreon prize card sold for more than a first edition base Charizard in the same auction block. Were they like the same grade and everything? That sounds ridiculous to me.
Sounds kind of interesting. I don't know what auction block this is on, I guess, is the question.
That's wild.
Open market is the same as the store pretty much, but as it goes out of stock, it starts to equalize with the international market. If something is sent as a gift, there's no tax. Discord is a play, question mark. Hold on, let me read that one more time. Interesting. I see what he's saying. Do you get what he means?
You just send something friends and family? I don't.
So I think what he means is like, so I think what he's saying is like, if he were to quote unquote buy product from, let's say, like the wholesale program, right, in the Discord, and we were to give it to him as a gift, then it wouldn't have the same taxes. It's definitely a potential play, but for me personally, and this is kind of what I talk about within the wholesale program, we do cater to people outside the States, but we ask that you use a forward shipping company or service because we don't want to take on a lot of the liability that comes with what you're claiming, because we don't want to get into trouble with customs, because that's just a whole mess that we don't want to be a part of. So we always just ship to whatever your forward shipping company services that you use and then go from there. Because we do have people in the program that live outside the States, and that's exactly what they do, and it works out well for them. We have some people that have been in the program since the inception that do that. So you just have to kind of do research.
Value, like on the customs forms, just putting the value at $1.
I mean, yeah, you could do that and getting so. I mean, there's a lot of risk at being fraudulent, man. So
I send my pack break cards like order from like Australia or Europe, and I mean,
you know, it could be $1 in your eyes.
Hey, man,
they're worth whatever someone's willing to pay for them. With your store, would you price match to higher turnover versus higher price with less turnover? Would I price match to have higher turnover versus higher price with less turnover? Okay, I get what you're saying. So like if the market rate's like $90 for an item on TCG Player, would I sell it for 90, or would I price it higher if it sells slower?
Jack it up.
You 1,000% sell it for more, because at the end of the day, like, the thing you have to consider is like it's a matter of overhead cost and also the value of time, because most people would prefer to, I mean, it's kind of like Amazon, right? Like a lot of people will shop at Amazon even if it's slightly more expensive to go with them than elsewhere, which they're really competitive, because at least in the Phoenix area, I can get same day shipping, right? I want the product now. Right. And also as well, when talking about non-sale product, we're now talking about singles. If you're going to go buy a single card on TCG Player versus in person, and it's listed as near mint, you have such a premium of knowing what the card looks like in person and being able to look at that condition. Same goes with anything. So there's a premium to be made by buying something and having it in your hands in that moment. And then also a premium to be made with that product and knowing its condition as well. And then that is, of course, something that you're paying for, but more specifically, that is a needed justification for storefronts, because they do have such a higher overhead cost, right? Like for me to run something out of my, garage or out the house, I'm just paying whatever it costs for me to pay my rent, which I was already going to pay anyway, regardless. The difference now is I am paying for a commercial location plus employees, plus utilities, and so much more for the specific point of trying to put myself in a market to sell. And it's going to make more sense for me to do that, knowing that I'm going to have that in-foot traffic with less competition too. Because that's just kind of where it is. You have to find a way to offset the overhead costs as much as you can so that you don't lose as a business.
Well, I mean, why is Walgreens more expensive than a grocery store or Walmart? It's convenience, right? Like they're at every corner or whatever. The convenience factor of being able to walk in and buy a box right that day and open it right then and there instead of wait 3 to 5 days for it to get shipped, or the convenience of being able to walk in and look at the singles like right in front instead of like having to look at pictures. And it's just, there's a value to that and you have to charge for that.
Well, and not to mention as well, like when it comes to how I'm going to run the storefront, I'm definitely going to run the storefront in a way where the prices will be dynamic, right? If an item is not selling, we'll lower the price if we think it's worth lowering. If an item is selling and we think it's super high demand, we're going to raise the price. Same as you would see on TCG Player, right? It's the same exact theory. The only difference is there's going to be other expenses that are going to be baked into the cake for the exchange of that benefit that you're going to be having, like Alex just said, with convenience and seeing everything in person. So it's just the general trade-off that you have. And also as well, you're supporting local going that route too, because I mean, it's there's not a lot of LGSs these days that are surviving and successful. I know we've got PokeTubers that kind of talk about it, and those are the ones that are thriving. But let's be honest here, there's a lot of big box retailers that are pushing more TCG than anything. There's a reason why booster boxes are kind of more of an LGS thing, because they got to give some form of an edge, if you want to call it that, to storefronts to be able to compete, try and drive in sales that way. But all right, let's see. Another couple of questions here. We've been going for an hour and 10, so we'll do a couple more and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. Let's see if there's any that I am looking at that I see. Is there any you see off the top?
I'm not sure what Magnus is referring to at the very bottom. In some logic, you could say as you have to open so many packs to get the big hits, the pack value should be lower. What's your stance on this? No, I don't think that. I don't think the pack value is based on how hard or easy the hits are. I think the pack value is based on how the demand for it and the amount of supply, how scarce it is on the market. I don't think that how hard the hits are should affect the pack price, in my opinion.
I want hold on before I wasn't listening, so I saw something that got me off. So before I go into that with you, when are we getting the return of the world-renowned Eli Pogo giveaways? So for those of you guys that didn't know, when I was posting videos, the giveaways that I would always do was like, well, it changed from being whatever the newest set was, and then I just like had a bunch of Pokemon Go product that I got left with by my distros. And so I was like, I need to get rid of this some way. Just give it out as like the giveaway stuff. And so Alex, you won one of the giveaways. So you know.
Hey, you thought the joke was on me, but I pulled the Mewtwo alt art and that card graded a 10. Joke's on you, Eli.
Dude, no, not even. Okay, so I want to still go pull up the old video because I probably still have it somewhere on the archives of like my lives. We did a break once where a customer asked if they could have, along with like their break packs, their giveaway packs open live on stream with the Pogos. They opened 10 Pokemon Go packs because that's how much we were giving as the giveaway at the time. They pulled in 10 packs the shiny Charizard reverse 3 times. They pulled 2 alternate arts, 2 rainbows, and like 1 or 2 Vs. I'm not even kidding you. It was the most insane Pogo pull I have ever seen. For you to get that many hits, like it was absolutely wild. Like they literally hit the Mewtwo, the Conkeldurr alt arts. They hit the Mewtwo and the Dragonite rainbow, and then they hit the Charizard shiny 3 times. So like it was wild. It was an insane, and it came all from an ETB that I opened. I literally had an ETB in my closet and was like, all right, here's the 10 packs. All right. No, dude, it's good stuff. But to answer the question, man. But we'll be bringing it back once we start posting videos regularly, because obviously it's like kind of hard, like to do giveaways where you're not posting content. But where was the question because I want to follow up on that. I just want to at least touch on that.
It's long gone. Let's forget it.
Well, it says in same logic, you say as you have to open so many packs to get bigger hits that the pack value should be lower. What's your stance on that? Wait, in the same logic, you could say as you have to open so many packs to get the big hit. What does he mean by that? I guess I'm a little confused.
He means like, because, like if you go to base set, because it's much easier to pull a holo, he's saying like, well, it's so hard to get any real hits. Shouldn't the packs cost less because the like expected value per pack is much less type thing? Where I think it's all based on popularity, demand, and scarcity is what drives the pack values. I don't think it has anything to do with the value inside of like how hard it is or easy it is to hit a big hit. Like, it'd be like going to XY and saying, well, XY has got a lot easier pulls, and so those packs should be more expensive than Evolving Skies. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, because you also have to factor in as well that a lot of people will pay for the premium of just opening. Like, it's not even a matter of like, doesn't make sense. It's kind of like when you go to a casino and you go hit slots. Your statistical probability of actually hitting the jackpot is so freaking low, but yet people like to hit the slots because they enjoy the rush or the hope that they're going to hit it big and that they're going to be that 1%, right? So you can sit here and say like, oh yeah, Evolving Skies, a lot of like the singles are undervalued compared to like the price value of the sealed booster box. But in my mind, that just comes down to the fact of the matter that people still are wanting to chase the Moonbryon and the rush that they get from pulling the Moonbryon. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I look at that as That's why there's demand so much more for the sealed product than there is the singles. But with that being said, there's still an appreciation for the singles. And with that following suit with the Umbreon and more specifically the most recent V Umbreon, it makes sense to me why they wouldn't be considered undervalued in that regard. I don't know what you were kind of say to that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he even said exactly what I said. He said, as in, if you open a base set pack, your chances of getting a big hit's pretty high. Therefore, the prize is high. So yeah, I mean, I understand the logic, Magnus. Like, I get it. I just don't think that has any driving of the actual price of the pack.
Alex, how long do you plan on holding LO for? A yearish and sell some off at a certain price point?
Nah, man, I'm holding long term. I think LO is going to be the second highest set in Sword and Shield, just like the Giratina is the second highest full art. I talked about it with you before. I don't get it. I'm not a Giratina fan, maybe because I didn't come from that era. To me, I think like cards like the Gengar, Lugia, Charizard should be more expensive, but they're not. And like I talk about investing, it's not about what I like, right? It's about what the market likes, and you have to go with the market. I have to stick with the market. I think LO is going to surpass every other box besides Evolving Skies. In 2 years, I could see, I mean, it's hard to say like amount of years. Like it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 years. But I could see, you know, Lost Origin being $500 a box before all the other sets are. So,
nah, dude, Giratina's sick. Giratina.
Yeah,
It's a generational thing. It's a generational thing for sure. Because my 3 favorite Pokemon, right?
But like, Eli, this is the first time it's ever been top like that in Crown Zenith. Before that, Giratina's been in sets and it hasn't been the top hit.
Well, it depends if you're going off of rarity. Because in the black and white era, there
go to XY. Like there's full art Giratinas, but there's other full arts that are more valuable than in the set.
Well, that's different though, because the one set you're talking about is Ancient Origins, and the only other more expensive full art for the same rarity is the Lugia. Which
right, and so why is the Lugia and Silver Tempest so much less valuable?
Because there's been so much more print of Silver Tempest compared to LO. There's been way more print. And also as well.
Okay, hear me out with this then.
Okay.
Like the Gengar and Phantom Forces or other Gengars that are similar rarities are much more expensive than Giratinas and similar rarities. Why is the Gengar not surpassing the Giratina?
Are you talking about like the XY Giratina?
Or sorry, any era. Like Gengar's pretty much been a staple, and like this is kind of the first time we've seen Giratina outperform Gengar.
Well, if you're comparing it from like the XY, well, that's completely different because their arts are completely different. Like people want alt arts more than they do just because it's a character.
Even tag teams.
Like the tag team Gengar. What's the tag team Gengar? The
Gengar Mimikyu.
What's that one going for right now?
I mean, it's like I think it's like one of the top hits in Team Up, but like then again, you could say it's because of Team Up.
Is it more expensive than the Giratina?
Or is it Giratina? But again, you could draw that to the price.
Then it's hard to bring that up as a comparison because here's my thing with that, right? Giratina is a card that when you compare it from rarity to rarity, it has been one of the highest ones. Obviously, Lugia is in Ancient Origins. It's the only full art that's higher other than that, which it's a Lugia. They're in the same set. They're comparable in that regard. You look previous to that, the Giratina from Black and White, it was one of the highest cards that you could also pull from a rarity perspective. But you also have to take it 1-to-1, right? It's not like you can compare Rainbow to like an alternate art. So it's kind of hard to say like, hey, which is more valuable, like an older, more scarcer XY Phantom Forces or like an alternate art, which is more modern. But it's like people like the arts more, like there's so many variables that go into it. But I mean, to your kind of point, I definitely think that there is an argument to be made that there should be some value to some of the Gengar cards.
I mean, here
more so than others, but
if you look at Unified Minds, right? Like the Mewtwo Mew, the Raichu, Alolan Raichu, the Psyduck Slowbro, like everything's ahead of the Giratina and Garchomp.
The Giratina Garchomp doesn't have an alternate art other than a promo.
No, but it's the rainbow. I'm comparing all the other rainbows, like the Rainbow Psyduck Slowbro is ahead of it. The Rainbow Mewtwo Mew is ahead of it. Like these are just regular rainbows comparing to that rainbow.
It's hard for me to kind of argue on that one just because it's a rainbow card. It's not like a big hitter.
And like I said, I don't care. Like what I like, it's meaningless. It's all about what the market wants, and that's why I'm all in on LO now. Like I've experienced the market sentiment, and I think it's going to carry forward. I think once these sets go out of print, it is going to surpass. It'll surpass Base Set, Rebel Clash, Fusion Strike, and Chilling Reign, and be the second most popular set.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely perform well. That is kind of weird that the Slowpoke and the Psyduck is more. I can totally see the Mewtwo and the Mew. That makes sense because Mew cards are big.
I mean, Eli, like look, and again, we can say it's a generation, but I've been in the hobby since like 2015. Dude, I've never heard anyone chasing Giratina cards until now.
Well,
it's never been a thing.
Yeah. Well, it has because you weren't a part of it being a thing. It was
maybe like the deep collectors, but like, dude, just go look at any YouTube video in the past 8 years before now. Like, no one was talking or like getting excited to pull Giratina cards. It wasn't a thing.
It was in Black and White, and Diamond and Pearl. Giratina.
Okay, again, that's fine. I'll concede that, but I mean, 2015, like XY on it, just had Giratina's never been a thing until now.
It's because there hasn't been a big hitter Giratina card. Like, that's the thing. Is like, sure, you got the full art from Ancient Origins, but the real chase cards within that set were the Mega Rayquaza, Kyogre, and Groudon. That's what everyone was chasing. So it got kind of overshadowed because the rarity differences, right? So this is the first time since I would argue like Black and White that we've had a real major Giratina chase. Because yeah, we've had the Giratina within Unified Minds, but it's a promo, right? It's a promo card. So like the alternate art version didn't get a standard pull that you can actually get from it. And then XY, the Giratina, was Ancient Origins. It was regular full art. I already made that point already. So
honestly, yeah. Magnus keeps asking great questions. So take that one. So what do you think the biggest driver for booster box value?
What do you think the biggest driver for booster box value has? Having a big chase like Giratina or set value? For example, Chilling Reign having the highest set value after Evolving Skies.
It is a good question.
I think there's a multitude of factors. I think what makes LO a good set is not just because there's a high demand for a big chase card, but it also is because you have really good supporting characters within the subset, which Chilling doesn't have. Because Chilling has a ton of really good high chase cards, but you can go into the subset of LO with the trainer gallery and you can pull Pikachu, you can pull Charizard, you can pull Gengar, you can pull Snorlax. And then if you don't care about the obviously character rares, then you can still pull the Giratina, you can still pull the Aerodactyl with an amazing art design. If you're a fan of the Berserker and the Rotom, which I don't really care for. And
what do you think on average? Like, do you think having the one of the biggest chase keeps the boxes higher, or do you think it's more about the overall set?
I think it's well, I guess, what do you mean when you say overall set? Like, are you saying
like would you here? I'll throw it. Like, would you rather open a set that has like, let's say 6 different hits that you want that are big, like the biggest hits, but they're all like, I don't know, say anywhere from $150 to like $50? Or would you rather open a set that has like 2 hits, like Lost Origin? That's one's like whatever $300-400, the other one's like $200-300, and the rest are like 20 and 10. Would you rather go after a set that has like the big stuff, or would you rather go after like a well balanced set?
I guess that's where kind of the disconnect is coming from, because I don't look at LO in that regard because it has the trainer gallery. Because
that's fine. We can take LO out of it, but like it's in general. Would you pay more for a box for like to hit a card that's like $1,000, or pay more for a box that you could hit like 5 cards?
I prefer more diversity of hits. I know what you're saying, because like it's like comparing, would you rather open up Obsidian Flames or Paldea Evolved? Like Obsidian, well, actually, I don't know if that's a good example, but like any typical Charizard set, right? Historically speaking, usually
here Champion's Path.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's like, oh, Champion's Path. Would you much rather have Champion's Path
or Crown Zenith?
Or Crown Zenith, right? There's a good comparison. So it's like, obviously you like Crown Zenith more because there's more cards that are fun to pull. There's an appreciation of the artworks versus like Champion's Path, super boring, super bland. So like I would much rather have Crown Zenith than Champions.
But with those Charizards being so expensive, what do you think is gonna like what performs better? Like,
Crown Zenith for sure. Crown Zenith will perform better, no doubt. I think, but it's hard to say because I don't think having one or two big cards like a Charizard is going to make a set perform extremely well long term, but it will make a set. I want to kind of make sure I'm saying this the right way. I feel like if you're just taking a Charizard set and you're just throwing a Charizard in it, it will perform well because the character is going to carry it, but it's not going to be a top set of all time. Like it's never going to be an evolving. It's never going to be a chilling. It's never going to be an LO because it needs more of a supporting cast than just the big hit to make it like one of the top performing. It'll still do well because it has a Charizard in it, and the Charizards are always going to be worth something because the character value.
Yeah,
but
it's impossible to make a direct comparison. It's like Marco saying in the chat, like the market values big hits over depth. That's why fusion's more than chilling. You could say that, or do people just like Gengar, Espeon, and Mew more than Moltres and Blaziken? Like it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, the variables are all over the place. I feel like the only reason why I can really touch to LO is just because the biggest argument I've seen outside of like the Giratina Chase is just it has the strongest character rare set within the Sword and Shield era. Because like obviously if you're an Evolution fan, then you can always go to Brilliant because it does have the Espeon and the Sylvia, or not the Espeon, sorry. Does it have an Espeon? I know for a fact it has the Sylveon.
What's that?
Brilliance subset. I think it has an Espeon, does it?
No, it's just Sylveon.
Just this Sylveon?
Yeah,
Sylveon. But it has an Umbreon. It has an Umbreon. I know that.
Yeah, it's Umbreon and Sylveon V and V Max.
Yeah, and then you've got the others. So you still have that love for it, but I mean the diversity within the character rares within LO is really hard to compete with. Like it doesn't like take away the rarity out of it, right? Sure, they're not like alt arts, but people have shown to love character rares. People love the character rares because hey, I want to be able to say, and okay, here's the point I'm gonna make, and I feel like this is the best argument that I'm gonna make for this. When you look at a set like Chilling Reign, obviously you want to get the big hit, but if you don't get the big hit, you can still at least pull something else that you're chasing, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, the odds of pulling that alternate art are still going to remain the same at like 1 in 72, right? Versus with LO, obviously you want to chase that Giratina, but hey, even if I don't get the Giratina, at least I'm pulling character rares and other cards along the way, so it feels like less of a bust. And that's kind of how I look at it because you can still have a fun experience opening it without absolutely missing. Because like Chilling Reign, it's a great set, but I've heard so many mixed opinions on Chilling Reign based off of their pull rates and if they got an alternate art or not. If people pulled an alternate art, they love Chilling Reign. But if they didn't pull an alternate art, they hated Chilling Reign. And so for me, it's like I can look at it face value and say, oh yeah, it looks like an amazing set based off the alternate arts, but it's also based partially on your experience of pulling what you pull. And so you can have a much better experience when you're getting more hits with the character rares because you can still get value off of like pulling the VMAX Pikachu, which is part of that subset. So it's still an exciting rush because you've got like layers to the hits that you can get that are still going to bring value to your overall pack opening experience.
Scott Abbott said, Alex, do you think that Charizard V alt art is undervalued? Going along similar lines is why Giratina's second best alt art. It seems strange Zard alt art is so cheap. Yeah, Scott, just easy yes for there. Just picked up another one last week. I think the Charizard V alt art is severely undervalued. And I think when Brilliant goes out of stock on Pokemon Center and if it jumps up in the 200s, I think the Charizard is going to follow similar lines the other alt arts have.
We've been talking about this forever. Yeah, it's very undervalued. It's ridiculous to me how undervalued it is. I mean,
it's not going to be a Giratina Moonbreon, but it's going to be higher, I think.
Like it's gone up a little bit in value since it was in the low 100s. I think, I mean, let's see the lowest listed. It is selling for 125. I mean, so instead of being 105, it's gone up $20. But I mean, even then, I think it's at least a $200 card. Like, I don't think that's a hot take to say. So how much is the Lugia going for too as well? That's another thing.
Cheap, man.
Lugia is a different situation though, because there's been so much Silver Tempest and the God packs were huge.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember, shout out to Alfred, our mod. He bought like 4 or 5 cases of the like God sleeved cases from one of our distributors, and he like sent a picture over, and he hit like the Lugia like 4 times within the first 30 packs. Like it was insane.
Alfred, hit me up, man, if you're looking to get rid of any of those.
Still has it. Oh, that's so funny. Oh man, dude, I think I just heard the most important question we're probably going to get of the day. Do I Pokemon USA? Well,
dude, that needs to be the FOMO title of next week. It's just going to be me and Eli just like squared up on the thumbnail.
We're going to pay-per-view it. Get ready to buy now.
Oh, no, we're going to do it live on Kick.
Oh, live on Kick? Man, there we go. Get the sponsors involved. All right, dude, we're already an hour and a half in. One more question, then we got to go here. One more question, then we got to go here.
One question. We got to really think about this.
Alfred says, I still have 2 cases holding until ST goes up.
Alfred, dude, if you're trying to get rid of any, make sure you reach out to me first.
Paprika says, do my question. All right, here we go. This will be the last one for Paprika. Guys, is it just me or do Illustrator rares piss you off? They have 0 texture and weak shiny to it compared to the V cards from Sword and Shield. It's absolutely pathetic. Pokemon Company needs to buck up. I mean, there is texture.
No.
To the like SIRs or just standard illustration?
Yeah, like the Magikarp.
Oh, that's what he's in.
I mean, man, just to say they're weak, like, dude, the Magikarp, the Groudon from Paradox Rift, the Tyranitar from Paldea Evolved, I don't think they're weak.
I mean, because sure, I guess you can say like the comparable difference would be like, I guess the rainbow rares. Because like rainbow rares,
I'll take those over rainbow all day.
Yeah, rainbows have the texture, but did the standard character rares have texture? I don't think any of them did, to my knowledge.
No, even in Cosmic Eclipse, the character.
So yeah, it's like, what would you prefer? I guess would you prefer the rainbows with texture or the illustrators without texture? Obviously, it'd be nice if they had texture like the SIRs and the standard alt arts, but it's like I'm still thinking the art design is gonna be better. I definitely would love to see more complexity to the cards with the addition of texture, but you know, it is what it is. I'm still here to collect the arts first and foremost. You know, it's kind of like,
let's leave it with this thought though. All right. Do you ever just stop and think like, are videos like this going to be things that people like clip back to in like a year, 2 years, 3 years when everyone's like goo goo gaga over rainbow arts and say, look what these people were saying, how no one liked rainbows, and like rainbows going to be a thing eventually and we're going to look like idiots.
Oh, I mean, there's no denying rainbows are going to do well long term in my belief. But ultimately, this isn't a conversation of like, are rainbows going to do good? It's like, hey, which do you like more, rainbows or like illustration rares? I think illustration rares because
I do too.
It's cooler art.
I hope I'm not wrong, but I do too.
Yeah. You never know. It's how I look at it in this regard when comparing the two, right? I'd much rather have a card with better art than just be worse art and texture, because I think that the art is what makes it, and it's like the texture is the cherry on top. If you're going for the sundae and the sunday's garbage, then cherry's not going to add anything to it. It's got to have a good foundation to it.
If we could just get PokeRev to start pushing rainbows, I think we'll be good.
Dude, PokeRev, come on. Sponsor me.
Come on, PokeRev.
Do it. I remember there was one time that someone was in the chat and they were like talking about PokeRev finishing up and they were going to raid us, but it was too late by the time. It's a bummer. Missed out opportunity.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't going to happen.
But all right. Yeah, right. All right. We'll end it here, guys. Thank you all so much for stopping by. As always, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, helps the channel. If you're interested in joining the wholesale program, links down in the description below, or if you want to ask some further questions about how to get access to Pokemon Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! Flesh and Blood, and so much more at wholesale, make sure to message me. Discord is down in the description there as well. Anything else you want to say before we head on out here, brother?
Let's go chill and pump those markets.
Let's go chill and pump the markets, baby. All right, everyone, have a good rest of your Tuesday. Peace.